From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your afternoon update.
Hey folks, good afternoon. Another severe weather type chance as we head through this evening and into tonight. Sounds like Groundhog Day. I know it's been weekend after weekend here with this, but yeah, as mentioned, this is not going to be much different, right? Temperatures already near 80 here in Florence, dew points in the 60s. Here's why. You got that wind out of the south. It's been kind of gusty out there, sometimes up to 20-25 miles an hour here in Lawrenceburg and southern middle Tennessee, so you can imagine just how gusty it is for some other spots out there. Already in the 80s here in Savannah, dew points in the mid-60s. You can see some clearing skies out there, and that kind of helps boil up that instability, so that's paving that way for those warmer temperatures today, highs in the mid-80s for quite a few of us as we head through this afternoon. And there are those rain chances and storm chances ticking on up as we head through this evening and into tonight, as well as into the early hours tomorrow morning. So here's what we got. Severe weather risk level 3 to 5 has been pushed out towards the 65 corridor, and then from 65 east, portions of Morgan County out there towards the Huntsville metro. You get that level 2 out of 5 risk, but I don't want you to get it too caught up in the exact levels. It's not going to be exactly weaker at this marker. Point is, we all have a severe weather threat as we head through this tonight time frame and into the pre-dawn hours of tomorrow morning. I still do think some rain will be lingering through tomorrow, but that won't be severe. So let's talk those severe chances. First things first, as far as the severe weather is concerned, primary concern there is the damaging winds up to 60, 70 miles an hour. I've said this over the last few events. Doesn't matter if that 70 mile an hour is straight line or rotating, that's still 70 miles an hour, right? So that's enough to do some pretty decent damage, trees down on power lines, things like that. So we'll have to watch that very carefully with some of those bowing segments, and a few tornadoes could be possible as well. We do want to keep that in mind here, that just because this isn't a tornado outbreak doesn't mean the tornado threat's zero, not by any stretch of the imagination. A few tornado warnings could easily happen within that line there if something can kind of get established with rotation. So we'll watch that very, very carefully. Hail is not really a huge threat due to the fact that this is kind of a line pushing out, and those don't really have huge hail threats as like say supercells do, for example. We're not quite seeing a situation like that, and we're seeing a pretty significant flooding threat. If you've been keeping an eye on these last several days, you know we've picked up a lot of rain, and we already have those flood watches and, in fact, mini flash flood warnings in effect. So we're already seeing those higher chances in Tennessee out towards northwestern Alabama and North Mississippi shoals, but then as you head south and east, it's a little less so. But still, I would definitely call the flooding situation a significant one that we need to keep a close eye on. That's a dangerous severe weather aspect in itself. So let's go over a few ways to get some warnings. Scan this QR code, get our Tennessee Valley Weather app free on the App Store, Google Play, things like this. Of course, I've said it before because it's, like I said, kind of Groundhog Day-like in this sense. Nocturnal events like this, overnight situations, you want a loud way to get warnings, so I stepped off here for a NOAA weather radio to take my place because these things are just fantastic. Listen, you know the quote I like. If you've been keeping up over the last several weeks, you know what I'm about to say. They can wake a dead man from his sleep, because it is absolutely true. These things are fantastic. And I know some of us may say, oh, that's a nuisance, I don't want that. But, you know, whenever it counts, say tornado warning pops up at 2 a.m., you're going to want to get that warning. That much is for sure. So there are just a couple of ways to get warnings there. And let's go ahead and see what we have afterwards, because, you know, like I said, severe, severe, severe. It's been a crazy month or so, but we do cool down temporarily after this. That cold front makes itself known in a pretty big way. Temperatures getting down for Monday and Tuesday. I'll call it upper 50s, even near 60 for highs, and lows getting down to the 30s. Kind of flirting with frost levels there. You know, we might be talking a little bit of that, but I think afterwards we're not going to be quite seeing so much of that out there. Temperatures getting back to the upper 60s, lower 70s, with lows then by the end of the week getting back to the 40s. That's also correspondent to our next rain chance here. Don't think that's going to be too significant or anything. I reckon we'll be just fine there. No severe chances as of current indications with that. Through tonight and into the early hours of tomorrow morning, though, let's keep an eye on this system.